Today, we're going to be talking about my first deal and deal analysis and how I made $65,000 on my very first deal. Hello, everyone. I'm Orlando, and today we're going to be talking about my very first deal and breaking down the deals to the numbers to kind of show you guys exactly what this title is about, which is how I made about $65,000 in profit on my very first deal. So let's just kind of go through the story a little bit, and then we'll just get into the numbers, okay? So me and my wife, we were looking for moving out of a rental, and we were wanted to buy our very first home. I convinced my wife for us to move into a duplex and then rent out the other side so that we could have our mortgage paid for us. She agreed, so I went out on a journey to basically find the duplex. Well, I ended up finding one, and it didn't work out like I thought it would, and it just turned into a nightmare scenario, and I passed on that deal. Well, in the meantime, when I decided to go work out and go to the gym, I kind of decided to go look at an area where there's a lot of townhomes and whatnot. I ended up seeing a sign to buy duplexes. Well, I ended up calling the owner and asking him, saying, hey, I'm interested in buying these duplexes. How much are they? And he told me, well, how much do you want to pay? And I would say, well, how much are they? And he ended up telling me that they were $300,000 and I said, for each unit? And then he said, no, for the whole unit, for the whole duplex. And I said, okay. He told me that they had basements and whatnot, which I kind of already knew. But then I said, no, that's too much money. I decided I couldn't do anything about it. Fast forward a couple of days later, I just so happened I'm still doing kind of like a driving for dollars type of scenario where I'm just going through neighborhood trying to see if there's anything available. And I decide, something just tells me to go back to that same area. Well, I go back to that same area, and at the very end of the street, I see a sign up that says property for sale. And it was one of these duplexes. And I go onto Zillow and I look at the listing, and the listing had just been put up. And I took a look at it, and I see that the listing said that they were selling for $185,000. And I thought, oh man, they're just selling one side for $185,000. But I just go ahead because it didn't really say on the listing if it was a whole duplex or just one side. And I give the agent a call, and the agent's like, no, that's for the whole unit. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it's for the whole unit. And I was like, that can't be, because I just spoke to the guy who developed the whole area, and he was just trying to sell each duplex, and he was trying to sell it for $300,000. I did research the day before, and I actually saw that he had spent $300,000 on it based on records and things of that nature. So I was like, 185, that's insane. So I call my realtor, and I jump on her. I probably called her 20 times, telling her, hey, make sure you put a full offer on this. Put a full offer on it, because it just seemed too good to be true. So we put an offer on it. Our offer gets accepted, and I'm just over the moon, right? Because what you don't know about this property is this property was 7 years old at the time, right? It had just been built. I did research on it, and like I said before, I spoke to someone, and I saw the actual records that they actually spent $300,000 to build this property, had a note on it for $300,000, and I was buying it for $185,000. So come to find out, it was through a bank, a foreclosure, and I was just ecstatic. So let's do the deal analysis portion of this. I bought the property for $185,000. Then I got an appraisal from the bank that said the property is worth $250,000. So if we do the simple math on this, $250,000 minus $185,000, which means $65,000 in equity. That was mine at the purchase. That is amazing. On my very first deal, I made that. From buying a property that the bank didn't care was worth $250 or plus, all they cared about was the $185 that they were going to get paid back. That's all that was owed to them, and that's all they cared about. That is amazing. But that's not in there, guys. It doesn't in there. So let's just let's go a little bit deeper into it and talk about my mortgage and my profit and ROI, which is return on investment, right? So when I bought the property, I decided that I wanted to change some things up. I decided to take the carpet out, and I also had to put in refrigerators and stoves on both sides. That cost me about $10,000. And I also did some painting also. So right there's a cost of $10,000. Now, I know what you guys are saying. What about the down payment and the loan portion? Well, I didn't have to bring any money down because I used a VA loan. My VA loan doesn't require me to bring any money down, so I didn't have to bring any money down. So my only money that I had into this deal was the $10,000 that I had to bring in to do some cosmetic changes that I thought would benefit my rental. So let's move on to the next portion. So $10,000 in, and then I got a loan that was a 30-year mortgage, 30-year amortization, and it was a 2.75% loan. This is when loans were ridiculously cheap. So I made a killing on that, right? Debt on the money is basically almost free on top of that. So when I put down the $10,000, and then I also have each side is renting for $1,245. So when you add both of those together, the $1,245, you get $2,490 is what it comes out to be. $2,490 is what the monthly rental income would be when you add both units together. My mortgage was $1,338. Now, how I break that down is $755 was the mortgage, $125 was the insurance, and then $458 were the taxes. Now, this is based all on monthly. So the total mortgage was $1,338. Okay, and then you subtract that from the $2,490, and then I'm also gonna sprinkle in there some expenses because you always got to worry about expenses, and I normally keep that at 10% expenses. And mainly, that's not normal, guys. That's not normal. But on this deal, the property was so new. It was a 7-year property from construction. 7 years. I mean, everything in this unit, furnace, everything was brand new. Okay, so when you subtract the 10% expenses, and from the $2,490, I'm making a profit about $1,152 a month. Now, remember, I did put in $10,000 into this. So when you look at my ROI, which is my return on investment on my $10,000, it comes out to be a whopping 124% on my money. I made my money back right off the back. Right at closing, I made $65,000 in my pocket. And then on top of that, money that I put into the deal, I made that back within 9 months. And then everything on top of that is a cherry on top. Man, this is the stuff that I love speaking about. Breaking down deals and just get into the nitty gritty and finding deals, man, like this. Now, is this a rare occasion deal? Maybe, but the point is that the reason why I was able to find this deal was because I was on a hot pursuit to actually find a deal. And that's what I try to let everyone know, is that when you get into real estate, you have to actively try to get yourself to a point to where you can purchase a deal. But then once you're ready to purchase a deal, you have to continuously look. You have to look underneath rocks. You have to drive around neighborhoods. You have to do whatever you have to do to figure out, to find the best deal that you possibly can. So guys, once again, if you found this video informational and you want to see more of this, please subscribe, and then also hit that notification button so that when I do upload videos, you will be notified. Once again, guys, I really appreciate you watching. Thanks.